Contact.
Call this meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Scott.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Correspondence. I believe we had a couple of items that came in via email.
Make a motion to receive and file.
All right. Support. Motion by Sinkowitz, second by Nedrow to receive and file.
What are we receiving and filing?
Sorry, this should be in front of you. So we
They're
got,
in front of you.
I know, but so people know
Right,
what
I
we're
know.
filing, please.
Yeah.
Read it.
so we have a letter regarding, from Sally Apsey in regard to the road endings ordinance. I'll read it. She has some concerns about the ordinance. I recently became aware of the new ordinance to be voted on regarding road endings. I am very much against this. This is already covered by state law and is unnecessary. I believe that before this new ordinance is voted on, the residents in the two subdivisions that will be most affected should be notified by mail that their right to enjoy the lake will be further impinged upon. I live in one of those subdivisions, and although my children are grown, I know there are young people that grew up in our neighborhood that do not even swim in the lake for fear of reprisal. That is unconscionable. Should this new ordinance be adopted, I propose a drop in taxes for the residents of the subs that do not have a beach due to the fact that we have almost no right to use the lake without being subject to a fine. I do not understand how in Walled Lake most of the road endings belong to the residents on the street that joins it for lake access, but in Wolverine Lake it is for ingress and egress only. I have 4 grandchildren and think it is unfair that Wolverine Lake is seeking to become so restrictive that I can't take them to the road end and put a towel down on the ground without the risk of receiving a violation. This village has received a high rating for a place to raise a family, but I think the village needs to be concerned with all of its residents and not just some that seek to limit the rights of others. Please present my concerns to the city council. So, and I think as you have all seen, I responded to that email and, let her know that our intention with the road ordinance is really to clarify rights and make sure that everybody does have access to the lake. So, there was also, the second letter was from Mr. Cohen, the attorney who's been working with some of the residents. He had a number of suggestions, 6 in all, of things that he might like to see slightly different in the ordinance. And I'm not going to read that one because it's fairly long. But with that, we do have a motion to receive and file by Sinkowitz, seconded Nedrow. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, approval of minutes, January 6, 2016.
Additions, business, I think.
Well, we have approval of the minutes there at number 4 for, oh, wait, sorry, that's my water management board. Whoops.
Yeah, we don't want to repeat
Yeah, I
that.
was
Yeah, that
was looking too.
a fine meeting, but we don't need
Yeah.
to do it again. Okay.
You ready?
Yes, thank you. Additions to business.
I have no additions to business.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Okay.
Motion Stack, second Duff, I think by a split second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First call to the public, an opportunity for citizens to address the council on agenda items. No.
Bob Malik, 1620 Thurston. I have a question when item E comes up about the recommendations from the Water Board, okay, which is spending some funds, which I understand are allocated, but in the budget. But my question is, I think that is like 33% of their budget at one time, and my only question would be, is how's that going to affect come May, June, July, and August, when they're going to want additional things?
We'll address that when we get there. but
Okay,
it
fine.
should be
I
okay.
mean, I don't know if that would be open again to the public or not. I mean, again, I'm not against it, but I know what its line item value is in the budget, so. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? First call to the public. Seeing none, I will close the first call to the public, and we will move on to approval of consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion Stacks, second Sinkowitz. Further discussion? Roll call vote.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Sinkwitz.
Yes.
McGee.
Yes.
Maggie.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Stack.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Motion carries. That does bring us down to our public hearing on the Village of Wolverine Lake Recreation Master Plan. Do I hear a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved. Support.
Motion Duff, second Nedrow, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are now open for the public hearing. This is specific to the Recreation Master Plan. If you have any comments, come on up.
Motion to
Seeing
close?
none, do I have a motion to close? Motion Nedrow.
Second.
Second Stack. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have closed the public hearing. That does bring us to item 12A, Village of Wolverine Lake Recreation Master Plan, resolution for adoption of the Village of Wolverine Lake Master Plan as presented. Okay, we've been through quite a few meetings and hearings on the master plan, which is before you all, I believe, and has certainly been seen a few times, and also available on the website. Do I hear a motion? Let me make sure I've got the right motion in front of us. B 12A. Do I hear a motion for the resolution, a motion to adopt the resolution adoption of the Wolverine Lake Master Plan as presented?
So moved. Second.
Motion Duff, second Stack. Further discussion, and just to let everybody know, it has been a 5-year plan of updating. It's something we're required to do periodically. We've been through, as I said, quite a few hearings. Further discussion on the master plan?
One question. I noticed in the back of that pamphlet that there was a questionnaire. Has that ever been sent out to the residents, or have we ever had any feedback on that?
Yeah.
That's
That was the one about the
Yeah.
park, the Village Fest, right?
Cornrows. The cornrows.
And it was, you know.
I was just
online.
curious. I don't recall ever seeing the results.
Should be here.
It's all in the
Was all in the
packet.
the very back?
Yep.
Okay.
11,
Yep.
12.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
the
see that.
appendix.
There was like 5, 6, 7 pages on
1
it.
through
Yeah.
12 at the end of the plan.
Okay, I missed that. Thank you.
So, yeah, a lot of public input into it. The only thing I would say is that, well done to everybody who was involved. There's been a lot of thought that's gone into what makes this village a good place to live and a good place recreationally. And I think it gives us some things to really aim at over the next 5 years, so.
And we're getting older as a village.
It happens
It
to all of us,
happens to
especially
all of us.
those of us who are suburbs. Okay, so we have the motion, we have the second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote?
Sinkwitz.
Yes.
McGee.
Yes.
Maggie.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Stack.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, council. Unbury my agenda again before I bring us back to the water board. Okay, item B, lot split number 1502, 2309 Solano. I think you all remember this came to us a few months ago, but the house had not been scheduled for demolition. Mr. Nedrow, anything you want to add to the introduction of this?
No, I think everything was in line. Just made sure that it was going to be contingent upon demolition of the house.
Is there a schedule, Brian, on the demolition of the house?
Pretty soon.
Pretty soon.
Yeah, it can't, actually, the deed can't be filed until the house is demolished.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
mhm.
All right, so,
Everything was in line.
since we don't really have a written motion, are we good with a motion to approve, just a straightforward motion to approve lot split number 1502, 2309 Solano as presented?
Conditional upon
conditional upon.
Demolition of,
So really, why don't you repeat it basically as it was forwarded by planning?
yeah,
Or I can if you would like. I've got it in front of me.
make a motion that we approve the lot split at 2309 Solano based upon the information presented by the board tonight and conditional upon a house being demolished.
I'll second that.
Motion Nedros, second Duff.
Support?
Too late.
Too late. Oh, you seconded, I'm sorry.
He's 30.
Guess I better go grab that plane again.
Too late, but
late.
further discussion.
Everything's fine.
No, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, they did.
As long as the house comes down, the split is approved.
Yeah.
All right, let's get a roll call vote on that one, too. Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, thank you, council. Congratulations. Item D, recommendation from the Water Management Board. Water Management Board recommends council appoint Sigma Jameson to the Water Board to fill a vacancy with a term expiring 12/31/2018. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
I make a motion.
Support?
Motion Nagy, second Stack. Further discussion. Those of you who were able to attend our joint meeting with Water Management Board got a chance to talk with Sig and
He's sharp.
learn a little bit more. Long history of being on the lakes. He's already involved with the Park and Rec Board. He is, I think, going to be a good representative for the active wakeboarder community on the lake, too. which, you know,
That's true.
which needs a voice on that board, so. I think it's a good recommendation for a lot of reasons. So we have motion, we have second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. He is not here, so we'll have to swear him in later. Apparently, he thought putting up with the council once during the month was enough.
Yeah.
Recommendations from Water Management Board. One, approve hydroacoustic mapping of the lake at a cost of $7,000 with funds as presented. Have council, number two, recommends council have granular fluoridone applied to portions of the lake at a cost of $13,070.70 plus $1,500 for the MDEQ permit application with funds from 10144958005 as presented. Tara, let me get a motion to adopt both of those, and then we can have some discussion, and maybe I can.
So moved.
Second.
So motion Stack, second Duff, to approve recommendations E1 and E2 from the Water Management Board. Discussion because I know a couple of you couldn't make the meeting. So we had a fairly long discussion on the point of this. This would be the granular fluoridone that we've talked about a few times being able to use in places on the lake. Should have a longer time of contact. Fluoridone is different than some of the other herbicides we've used in that it's a systemic herbicide, so it really kills the plant root and all. The ones that just work by contact generally knock it down to the roots, which can, remove it from the growing season, but it doesn't really eradicate it from an area. Fluoridone, the short version is fluoridone's had a lot of pluses and minuses over the years. It's a very safe herbicide, but it also tends to be pretty wide spectrum in terms of having an impact on a lot of the lake, on a lot of things. So it's usually applied at very, very low concentrations. About 6 parts per billion is all that's permitted in Michigan. We've done the water board had some testing done of the milfoil that's in the lake right now. It seems to be fairly susceptible to fluoridone. I know we had some concerns after our last fluoridone treatment that our milfoil had developed a tolerance. That doesn't seem to be the case in the samples that we've had. The granular will cost a little bit more. Some of that will be offset by reductions in the use of other herbicides as we get there. We think the treatments are likely to be contained within the water board's herbicide budget for the year that we're undergoing. If because of the billing it comes in a little bit more than that, we'll have to do a budget amendment. So that's how we'll handle that. So my expectation is for doing this treatment, we won't see, a full $13,000 increase in the amount spent on herbicides, but it is going to be a little bit more than we might do otherwise. And our lake consultant also, aside from, being a systemic herbicide and really knocking it out, aside from the benefits of using the pellets, which gives us long contact and long treatment. He also recommended it's a good idea at this point to mix up the herbicides that we've been using on the milfoil. All plants tend to build a little bit of tolerance over time. If you bring in something else with a different mechanism, it tends to bring that back. So we had a lot of discussion around that. The hydroacoustic mapping of the lake is, we're required to do a fairly substantial portion of that to get the permit for the pellet herbicide. You have to have really, with your permit application, you have to have a very specific set of information about the lake in more detail than we currently have. That was about half of the cost of that. With that, we had the opportunity to extend it, do the full hydroacoustic survey of the full lake. It should give us better calculations on the herbicides we're using elsewhere in the lake, and will give us a really fully detailed map of the lake as a whole. So one other side benefit of that is that it should give us a little bit more of a control look at what's happening in the main lake as we get surveys of what's happening in the Penny Lake arm where we're doing the aeration. So
That study would also give us more accurate depth and how much water is actually contained in the lake, too.
yeah, it should be really precise.
I'm glad to see that finally granular product is being used. For decades, I've been an advocate of that. And I think we'll see a lot of improvement in the areas where they're used.
Yeah, and I think the granular fluoridone was just recently permitted in Michigan, so it's really a good new opportunity for us. Pat, you were going to ask a question?
I think wasn't one of the points that they made was the little bit that they did, it showed the muck levels in particular, or was I mis-
So that's kind of a different issue on the aeration report. The piece that we might pick up here is we did see some hardening of the lake bed in some of the areas with aeration, but we didn't really have a control out there in the main lake to see if that was a seasonal effect or
Just to show us
specific.
something.
Yeah. So we should get a little
Yeah,
bit.
I still think, though, with the aeration, somehow we have to determine, are we removing or replacing the muck?
Yeah, and I think that's what we'll get to. I mean, the initial indication is that we didn't see the muck reduction we had hoped for.
Yeah.
We may have seen a few marginal improvements in some of the water quality stats. We're 1 year in, it's a 5-year pilot, we'll see.
I'll be curious to see if we're not going to use that augmentation well that's on the canal, if the aeration causes any more, or if the canal starts to fill up even more.
Yeah.
Was there any discussion on the restrictions on the repeated use of that fluoridone? John, I was under the impression that we could use it this year, but there might be a difficulty going after it in less than another 5-year repetition. Was there anything
We didn't
on
really,
that?
we didn't really discuss
Okay.
that, no. That is certainly the standard with full lake treatments
Mhm.
of fluoridone. I honestly don't know with the
Okay.
pelletized. Further questions, further discussion? All right, let me get a roll call vote on the motion to approve the 2 recommendations from Water Management Board.
Maggie?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Stack?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Medrow?
Yes.
Singlet?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, council. And before we move on, I want to say, I think it was a really good session that we had with them. It gave us all a chance to really make sure we're all working from the same body of information, to hear everything firsthand, and to really talk about what we'd like to do for the lake going forward. One of the other things that we really talked about in there is kind of communication of lake issues going forward, that we really want to make sure we communicate the lake treatment plan for this year specifically to people, especially given the troubles that we had in Penny Lake this spring, and that we stay on top of it, and also that we make sure we log and bring back to the board, really any lake inquiries, any lake comments, any lake complaints that come in through the office. We just want to formalize that up a little bit and make sure that communication loop is closed. So,
I think it was also suggested, which I think everybody thought was a good idea, to have a joint meeting with the Water Management Board and Council at least once a year, so we can maintain that kind of interplay between the Water Board and the council.
I
Great idea.
think it's a good idea. possibly the one where where the water board gets the annual review
Annual
back
reports.
is a good one
Yeah.
for that, because that really is our report card on the lake, and it's a good opportunity to talk with all of the consultants who have worked on various parts of it.
Right.
All right, with that, we will move to item F, residential garbage fees, placed on the agenda at the request of Councilperson Sinkowitz. So, I'm going to go to you,
I
Mr.
I
Sinkowitz.
believe this is the third year in a row that I've brought this to council. Not long ago, council asked its residents to help Wolverine Lake Village financially, to be financially sound. We asked them to pay for trash pickup out of pocket, not from taxes. We are now more financially sound than ever before. It's time to give back to our residents and pay for trash pickup out of taxes, and thank them for their understanding and their financial help. In 2010, when we decided to do the garbage pickup, pay in a separate bill, I didn't think that was going to be, and I never thought it was going to be a permanent thing. But back in 2010, our fund balance was $1,285,000. Currently, it's doubled. We have over $2.3 million. Asset values of home are on the rise. New homes sold and new homes built are increasing. We picked up $300,000 on tap fees from Beechcrest, sold the property for $500,000, and when Beechcrest is completed, we should be getting someplace around an annual income of $100,000. And I think for the 5 or 6 years that the residents have been doing this, paying for this, it's time to go back to the old way. Prior to 2010, since maybe the village was conceived, it came out of taxes. And I think it's time that we revert back to the old way of paying for the trash pickup and giving the relief to some of our residents.
All right. And just to be clear, I think everybody's clear on where we stood with that last year. We brought it forward, we asked the Finance Committee to take a look at it. Finance had concerns about a couple of long-term items that were unresolved, specifically the MERS retirement, which we have, I think, found a reasonable long-term solution to. And also road funding, which was very much up in the state, at the state level, but the state has at least decided what they're going to do there. So I think it's a really good time to bring it back to finance now that we're at the beginning of the budget cycle. Let's take a look at it, let's see, what we can do there.
I think it's a good time to schedule that finance committee meeting,
Yep,
too.
I think it is.
We can have a
You do
meeting
it in
next
open
month.
public right now. if
Yeah, I
you'd
think
like.
so.
I mean, I said we could schedule that meeting right now if you think it's a logical thing to do, and then everybody will be on
Everybody will be on the,
it, and we can get it done.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to bring that up again, and let's give it back to the residents. I mean, where I lived in Pennsylvania, it came out of taxes, we didn't pay a separate fee, and I just think the village, I think we need to look at it again and give relief to the residents, for sure.
Oh, we have to look at the impact of effectively lowering our
Yeah.
revenue base by
I
300,000.
understand, I think we need to look at it.
300,000+, actually. Yeah.
Right, look at a 3 to 5 year budget.
Yeah,
see
that's
how
what
it
we'd be
impact
doing,
that.
yeah.
so I'm going to be out of town for a bit, but I will be back the first week of March, maybe Friday, March 4th. Would that be a good, morning of Friday,
Yep.
March 4th? Would that be good for people?
Good for you, Ed, you're on
Yeah, I think that'd work for me.
9
Okay.
o'clock?
9 o'clock?
Let's schedule it, and
If something drastic comes, we can, but I think March 4th will work.
Okay, and I think we've got most of the information there.
I'll give you some time to make sure we have the proper information, particularly on roads and et cetera.
Yep. Or at the very least, to look through what we have, see if there's anything missing. I believe one of the members of our Finance Committee may have a question there, so I'm going to call on him from the audience. Mr. Malik?
Yeah, I won't be here.
Oh.
Okay, I'll be out of the country, so.
What about if we did it a little sooner?
I'm leaving on the 28th.
When will you be back?
6th, I think it is, the following Sunday.
If we want to do it the week after that,
7th? That's a Monday.
the Monday, the 7th, that would work for me.
Hate to do it in public forum, but I think it's a good idea to get it down on the record here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry to make everybody listen to a schedule,
Well-
but, yeah.
I think it's an important schedule.
Yeah,
I
the
think for
7th?
everybody.
Yeah, Monday,
9
March 7th,
o'clock?
9 a.m.
Mhm.
All right.
We'd like to
let's-
have you there, Mr. Malik.
I think that's all we need for that. That issue was already sent to finance by council, so I don't think
Yeah,
we need to
that's
send it
correct.
again, but let's schedule it and discuss it. All right, I think that's what we've got on that item. That does bring us to item G, Public Road Endings Ordinance. Ordinance number 156. We do have a revision of that ordinance with the changes we suggested in the last meeting. Forward to that. I think, hopefully, at least everybody's had a chance to review the letter we got late yesterday from Mr. Cohen. Does our attorney have any remaining concerns?
No,
on
I
any of those
think the
points?
ordinance reflects what we've talked about and what you wanted for the road endings. And the revisions that were made were really just minimal revisions from the last time, a couple words here and there. I don't have the concerns that were stated in this letter.
Okay. So with that, do I hear a motion to adopt ordinance number 156, Public Road Endings Ordinance?
So moved.
Motion Stack. Do I hear a second?
Support.
Motion Sinkowitz. Further discussion? We've certainly gone through a lot of discussion about this already. I think I would, just repeat to the public what I told Ms. Apsey in my reply to her, which is, really, it's our intent with this. There's a lot of ambiguity in the state law. So really, our intent here is to make clear that people have a right to that, to access the lake, to spell it out clearly, to give them access. And this is the first time we're trying this. So let's see how it goes this summer. We'll get to the end of the summer, we'll see how it's worked, and if
Back at it.
problems have come up, we can always come back, we can always adopt, we can always amend it. I think it's a really good starting point for us. I don't expect the issue of road endings to go away. It's been with the village for 50-plus years. I don't think we're gonna slay the dragon with one fell swoop, but hopefully what we'll do here with this, plus a little bit of signage there to spell things out and make things clear where road ordinances are, that people have rights to come in and out. It's gonna help everybody to be aware of where they are, what their rights are, so.
Mr. President, I don't know if the administration can advise an update. We had approved to go ahead and survey the rest of the road endings, what the progress is on that, or do we have a schedule for that?
That has been submitted to our surveyor, and I did touch base with him a week or so ago, and it's in progress.
Okay, so maybe by the
That's possible.
next month we'll have
That's
some
possible,
resolve.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, let me get a roll call vote.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, council. Brings us to the second call to the public, opportunity for citizens to address the council regarding any and all village business. Mr. Cohen.
Thank you. I'm sorry I was late. The weather out there is not wonderful.
I am shocked that anybody might have been late to this meeting. Blamed the weather and the road.
I come from Royal Oak out here, so it was not fun. I presume that the changes, my letter to the council dealt with the proposed ordinance from the last meeting.
Mhm.
So to the degree that there are any modifications pursuant to the last meeting, I presume at the very least, the word "the land," those two words were not repeated.
My recollection is that we addressed that one in the last one. I'd have to go back in and look
Okay, well,
again at the moment.
I'm sure
That was
that
changed.
Ms. Miller will grant me a copy of the now passed
Yes.
ordinance. There is one other matter that I was asked a question about, and I couldn't find an answer, so I posed this back in the archives of my clients, my many clients. I found a document, and I was asked about it, apparently back when Mr. Connolly was the city attorney. The Marshar extension, the road ending, was a hot topic. I'm sure it's been forever. At that time, one of the newspapers published a record that indicated that the Wolverine Lake Village Council had insisted that the seawalls that were at the road endings, that encroached on the road endings, be deeded to the village. And it indicated in here that the council approved that the seawalls would be given to the village. I don't know that that's true, and when I went to look into that, you can't find it from anything I've been able to see. I have the newspaper article, but when I checked with the county and any of the records, guess what? There isn't anything. So I'm asking the council to make inquiry for me, or to direct me how I would make a written inquiry to find out whether the portions of those seawalls, and according to the article, believe it or not, it was, let me see, it was Mr. Sinkowitz and Mr. Springer that encroached at that time. And it says here that the seawalls were deeded over to the village. If that's true, that would be very helpful, because it would further clarify your ordinance.
If that's true, that would be helpful. We'll take a look at it and see if there's anything there. I don't think we've come across any evidence to that effect, but
That wouldn't surprise me or shock me, but I would appreciate it.
And
Yeah.
what year was that written?
Yeah, what-
I don't have the date on it. It was blown up because I can't
Okay.
see very well,
All
but
right.
it's certainly, I can check this out and get back to you. As a matter of fact, I'll be glad to write a letter. I'm sure Ms. Miller is looking really forward to getting another letter from me, so I'll probably send it to her with a copy of the article and ask.
yeah, but we'll definitely look into that. Thanks.
Thank you.
And that is on our website. That's been on our website.
Okay.
Ordinance.
Yep. Oh, and just so everybody does know, the updated ordinance is available on our website if you want to look at it there. Okay. That has taken us through a February agenda pretty quickly, except for our closed session, which we'll go to
Whose name has been called?
at the end. Oh, sorry, we are still in second call. Second call, sorry.
No, you want to close the public if there are no.
Well, let me see, is there anybody else for second call to the public? Sorry, I did not mean to leap ahead. Seeing none, I will close the second call to the public. Thank you for the reminder. I am not running a tidy ship here tonight, but it still does bring us to item J, set topics for the February 2016 work session. As I mentioned, I'm going to be out of town on the regular date of our work session. We have actually had quite a few meetings.
Motion to cancel.
Second.
Motion Stack, second Duff. Further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Pending business, none tonight. Update from Captain Ellsworth.
It's only 7:35, I'm not even awake.
Yeah, if this is an untidy meeting, congratulations. Keep it up.
We're not
Yeah,
done yet.
I'm okay with that. I have a couple of things. First of all, the evidence room, I took Mr. Sinkowitz's mention of the wire cage and ran with it, and actually came out with the Shelving and Rack Systems, which is the local company over here in Commerce, at Martin and Oakley Park. And they came in and they made us a great deal on almost everything I needed for that, and it came in about $1,000 less than just the concrete walls. So everything I need, including benches, shelving units, shelving racks, different things of that nature, and the steel cage that goes in there, is going to be right around $3,000.
Oh,
So
super. Great.
we're actually going to be saving some money. Thank you very much, Mr. Singley.
Thank you.
I just returned from the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police Conference. It was very informative, and we had many discussions regarding a lot of hot topics. One of them was the medical marijuana that everybody is so afraid is going to pass for recreational use this fall. We've kind of did the homework, tried to keep that from happening. However, I don't know if it's going to happen or not. We also had, I held discussions with the director of the MACP regarding adopting a plan to become accredited. The Michigan Association of Chief Police came up, there's currently 28 states that have accreditation services for police departments. Michigan is going to become the next one, and we are actually adopting the New Jersey plan. The director of the New Jersey accreditation program was here, and we spoke about what we can do to make things uniform across the state, and I think that's part of President Obama's policing plan, is to make things more uniform and more receptive across county and state and jurisdictional lines. And I'm going to pursue accreditation for this police department. Most of it is policy driven, and I took a copy of our policy with me and went over it with the director, and we're probably 70% there. There are some other things that have to be addressed. One of them is the evidence, which we're currently addressing. I feel fully confident by hopefully next year we'll be one of the very first police departments in Michigan to be accredited, which will also help us with our insurance rates too. So that'll greatly affect our insurance rates going forward.
So, and the accrediting body is the Michigan Association of Police Chiefs?
Correct. And they actually bring in an external group to your police department, and they will spend some time here reviewing our policies, procedures, the handling of the vehicles, the type of vehicles we have, different things of that nature that we have to make sure we have all cages in our cars, and we have policies regarding bulletproof vests, body armor, seatbelt use, that kind of stuff. Most of the stuff we already do. I'm very confident we're going to be able to do this. It's just another one of those, before it comes time for me to leave, I want to make sure everybody's in top, tip-top shape. And that's again, hopefully years down the road before I do that, but I want to make sure that things are up and running smoothly. There was a brief discussion about snowmobiles on the lake, and I want to make sure that when we talk about these, we talk about these snowmobile laws rather than the motor vehicle laws. Motor vehicle laws don't cover snowmobiles. I know they're motor vehicles, but they're not really. They're actually a separate subsidy of, they're a separate section in the motor vehicle code. They're not covered by the motor vehicle. I'm waiting to hear from my DNR expert regarding what we can do about the non-marking of the fishing shanty holes, ice holes. But I think the problem we ran into in the last couple of weeks, we had such warm weather, those holes expanded, whether they were the 6-inch holes and they grew from being the warm weather, that might have been an issue. Of course, the ice was not safe. It hasn't been safe for a while. It's still not safe. We still have open water in Wolverine Lake. And I thank the village office for sending out the reminder in the email last week regarding the unsafe ice. There is no such thing as safe ice. And unfortunately, a father from Highland and his 4-year-old son were victims of that. So, but other than that, thank you for a quick meeting tonight, and be able to go home, wash your Red Wings. So, thank you.
Captain Ellsworth, relative to the comment about the snowmobiles, et cetera, I mean, I picked that up in one of our ordinances, and I mean, these ordinances are from the 50s, okay, and that was probably before we really knew what a real snowmobile was, so I just was concerned because people have brought up comments about these things speeding across the lake at 50, 60 miles an hour. And I
70
saw
and 80
that
miles
in
an
there,
hour,
and
yeah.
I
Well,
just-
again, when it comes to the lake, you have to be very careful about changing any type of laws out there. Once you start doing that, because I believe that lake is still under administrative rule, we start changing laws, we won't be able to make the laws out there
I'm not
anymore.
saying we need to change the law, I'm just saying we need to review what
We
we have.
may need to review and revise the ordinance
Yeah,
that
correct.
is
Yeah,
not correct.
and there are certain limitations about snowmobiles within a certain amount of feet of
Sure.
shore and a home. So, and ice skating rinks, cleared ice skating rinks,
Yeah.
as well as
Okay.
fishing shanties. So there are separate rules, and I'd be more than happy to talk to you on one-on-one if you want to talk about that and see where we can go with that.
I just want to make sure something doesn't happen out there. That's-
No, I am in
Okay.
total agreement with that.
And Mr. Nagy, I don't know if you heard, but our attorney is already looking at that.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
That's it.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Good, thanks.
All right, our treasurer is out sick this evening, so let's go to our administrator.
Well, I want to thank you for a very short meeting tonight, too, since we've had so many meetings lately. But I also want to thank everyone that helped with my farewell celebration. It was wonderful. I don't know what all of you did, but it was great, and thank you very much. And even though I won't be receiving a paycheck anymore from Wolverine Lake, my heart is still here. Thank you.
Okay, brings us to council comments. We'll start down there with Mr. Scott.
I'm going to pass this evening.
Thanks for a short meeting.
Ditto. You guys aren't off the hook yet. We still have a
Yeah,
closed
we still
session.
have a closed session. I'm not sure what.
Don't do that.
Stack.
Stay tuned for Miller Farewell Point 2, second edition, because she'll probably be here for a while. And looking forward to Nathan Bird coming to the village. I think he'll be a great administrator. I think it was a tough decision to find someone to follow in Sharon's footsteps, and I think he'll do a very good job.
Sort of ditto of everybody's comment. Short meeting was wonderful. Goodbye. And
Let's go into the
It's not over
closed
with
session.
yet.
Not going yet.
Not over with yet.
Don't push it.
Nagy.
Just one comment that I have, which is one of my pet peeves, and I talked to our videographer about our monitor to put up here for, and I just said, I mean, put together a budget and what it's gonna take. We talked about trying to get these ugly cables off the floor back here and possibly move that amplifier back there to clean it up a little bit.
Sounds like an excellent topic for our administrative committee Friday morning.
That'd be fine,
Yeah.
okay? Just so we can put something together.
Don't we have a projector that projects?
We do, but that's.
We do, but it's
But-
fairly old and its precision isn't much. And we've also got the ability to capture what we're doing if we get the right equipment in.
Separate screen.
Up there on the online feed also, so I think we do need to do some coordination around some fairly current equipment, but
Yeah.
I think we can do something.
Yeah, I like to see that. We also talked about maybe getting the ugly cords here and putting them down to the desk and just trying to clean it up and make it look a lot nicer. Thank you.
Put some granite.
So I have a couple quick items, one of which is to just repeat what was said earlier, just now about the ice, especially this weekend.
Yeah.
It's going to get cold out there. It's going to look good. It's going to be very enticing. But we've had even today, we had a lot of open water out there in places. There's a lot of snow on it, which insulates the water and the ice from forming good ice. It's going to look very good this weekend. I would recommend to everybody stay off the lake. It's just not good ice out there. And then the other comment I just wanted to make, because I think we got the right person in our hiring process. It's going to take a little while for him to be able to come up here. We'll come up with a starting date. We'll finalize the contract and stuff. But people have asked me a little bit about sort of the process and what we were looking for and what we were going for. As I said, we had a lot of candidates in there, and one of the things I was looking for was somebody who could bring a new voice to the village. I was looking for somebody who can really help us move forward and move along as a village, and I think we got the right person for that. So, thank you to Jeff Mueller, our Michigan Municipal League contact. Thank you for Sharon for being very gracious and sticking with us long enough to find a good replacement. Thank you to our attorney who's helped us at places. Thank you to the search committee. And also thank you to all of our candidates. We had a lot of candidates apply for it, and 34 of them ended up disappointed in the process. So for a lot of them, it wasn't that we didn't like them or didn't think they were good or effective people. It was really just a matter of finding the right person to take this village forward at this time for us. So I think we've got the right person, and I'm looking forward to working more closely with them. So with that, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
so
Motion Duff, second Nagy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.